Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 30.
Okay, so let's get into this. Imagine a world where every single sigh, every tear, every casual comment is just loaded with meaning.
Completely weaponized.
Exactly. Today, we are diving deep into Chapter 30 of Dream of the Red Chamber, and really just a few pages that show this high-stakes dance of social warfare perfectly.
Right. And this isn't just a simple lover's spat. It's a masterclass in coded communication, in emotional manipulation. We're going to see how one really intense private argument just flows immediately into this public showdown of devastatingly subtle insults.
To pull out the meaning from what look like these trivial little fights. So we've broken it down into three escalating conflicts. First, the private makeup, then the public attack, and finally, the silent, just paralyzing comeback.
Let's start with where they're at their most raw, their most vulnerable.
In that private drama. So we're started with Baoyu and Dayu. I mean, their relationship is just defined by this volatility.
Oh, completely. The source material tells us the last fight left Dayu just miserable day and night. But what's so fascinating here is how they actually repair the damage.
It's not straightforward, is it? You'd think the lover just apologizes, but here the whole thing is kicked off by someone else, an observer.
Dayu's maid, Purple Cuckoo, Zihuan.
Yes, Zihuan.
She's basically the social engineer in this scene. She scolds her own mistress, saying Dayu was too impetuous and that, she bore 7/10 of the blame.
Especially for tearing the tassel.
Right, for tearing the tassel in the last fight. And this is so critical because Dayu is impossibly prideful. Baoyu can't just walk in there while her defenses are all the way up.
He'd get nowhere.
Nowhere. So by having her most trusted friend tell who she was wrong, Zihuan is lowering the social risk. She's giving Baoyu a safe way back in. She's forcing Dayu to let her guard down without, completely losing face.
And Baoyu takes that opening. But his whole approach is pure psychological strategy. He shows up in this poisonous sun, this brutal heat, but he doesn't just say, "I'm sorry."
No, not at all. He frames it as a problem with their intimacy. He says their little quarrels shouldn't be made public because if other people have to step in and mediate, it makes them seem distant, too formal.
That is just a genius move.
It is. He's not saying, "I'm sorry for what I did." He's saying, our connection is so special, so intense that needing outsiders would cheapen it. He's basically forcing her to choose between keeping their unique bond or staying angry.
And you see the effect of that immediately. It's so visceral. The text is very clear. She hadn't been crying before he got there.
Right.
But the second she hears his voice, she just bursts into tears. That pain was right there, just under the surface, waiting for his words to give him permission to come out.
It shows you how close their passion and their pain really are. But then, just as quickly, it flips right back into chaos. Dayu escalates everything. She threatens to leave or to die.
And Baoyu, of course, responds with the most rash, over-the-top declaration imaginable.
"If you die, I will become a monk." Ugh. I mean, it sounds romantic for a second, but in their world, it's just a completely thoughtless thing to say.
It's a disaster. It would destroy his family, his lineage, his entire future. And Dayu gets that instantly. She gets so furious at the sheer stupidity of it that she can't even speak.
And that's the key, right? Her words fail her. The verbal arsenal just shuts down.
And physical force takes over. She stabs him with great force on the forehead with her finger.
Yeah.
And that's not just random anger. It's what happens when their whole relationship, which is so based on sophisticated language, just breaks down.
He immediately regrets it, of course. His face turns purple and red. But the real fix, the actual reconciliation, isn't verbal at all.
No, it's symbolic. He starts crying too, but he forgot a handkerchief, so he uses his shirt sleeve. His brand new, very expensive, lotus root colored gauze shirt sleeve.
He ruins it, just wipes his tears all over this costly new shirt. And that ruined silk, that's the turning point.
It is. When Dayu sees him ruining his clothes because he's too upset to think straight, something just snaps. It kind of humanizes him for her again. So she doesn't say a word. She just throws her own handkerchief, her xiaopaozi, at him.
It's the perfect nonverbal contract. It's an act of care. It says, stop being an idiot and ruining your clothes. Use this. Their messy, intense, slightly destructive reconciliation is done. Sealed by a ruined shirt and a tossed handkerchief.
And just as that incredibly raw, private moment ends, the door flies open.
Of course. And they're forced right back into public performance.
It's Fengji. She just walks in, sees the tear-streaked faces, the whole scene, and she points out how ridiculous their mood swings are.
Yeah, she says something like, now you're holding hands and weeping, but yesterday you're like fighting black-eyed chickens.
She's so witty. And her comparison is what really moves us to the next phase. She calls them a yellow hawk grasping the falcon's foot.
Meaning they're bound so tightly together they don't need anyone else to solve their problems. And that observation just shifts the whole mood from private drama to public scrutiny. It sets the stage for the cold, calculated fight to come.
Right, because once you're in public, the rules are completely different. No more tears, no more stabbing each other with your finger.
No, absolutely not. Now the conflict has to be precise. It has to be done with perfect decorum and, maximum damage.
So, segment 2. We're at Granny G is now, and Bao Yu has to face Bao Chai. He starts by doing his duty, giving this, totally perfunctory apology for missing a celebration.
A social formality. It's required, but it's basically meaningless. But Bao Chai's response is so interesting. She uses the language of closeness to actually create distance.
How so?
Well, she says that formality isn't necessary, that if he stores this intent of an apology, it just makes us distant. She's politely rejecting his formal gesture, but what she's really doing is reminding him that their relationship is all about propriety and distance. It's not the messy, raw intimacy he has with Dayu.
And then Bao Yu makes a huge mistake, a totally unforced error. This is the first strike.
Oh, it's a terrible move.
He asks why she left the opera, and she says it was the heat, kind of hinting at her figure. And he just jumps on it. He says, no wonder they compare sister to Yang Guifei. She is indeed robust and fears the heat.
Oof. That is a social assassination attempt disguised as a compliment.
It's brutal.
It is. Because, yes, Yang Guifei was a famous beauty, but she was famous for being plump. And, more importantly, for the ruin she brought to the dynasty. So calling Bao Chai robust in front of everyone is a public critique of her body and a sort of an implication of moral weakness. It's so blunt, it's risky, it's frankly stupid on his part.
You'd think she might get flustered, but no. She's a master strategist. She can't show she's angry, so she just manages this cold, controlled laugh and then delivers the counterpunch.
And she escalates immediately. It's fascinating how fast she goes from a personal insult about her appearance to political warfare.
What does she say?
She says, I may be like Yang Guifei, but I lack a good older brother who could serve as Yang Guzong.
And for anyone listening, this is where that shared cultural knowledge becomes a live weapon.
Absolutely. Yang Guzong was Yang Guifei's brother, and he was a famously corrupt, power-hungry politician whose greed basically led to the downfall of their entire family in a massive rebellion.
So Bao Chai isn't just defending herself.
No, she's going on the attack.
That is just surgically devastating.
And you can see she's still angry, because it bleeds into the next interaction. A maid, Diana, interrupts looking for a fan, and Bao Chai is so riled up she just deflects her so harshly. She tells her to go ask the girl she normally jokes with.
Meaning Dai's group.
Exactly. She's marking her territory. But Dayu completely misses the point of the Yang Gozong attack. She's just happy Bao Yu insulted Bao Chai and wants to jump in on the mockery.
And that misplaced confidence, that leads us right into segment 3. This is where Bao Chai delivers the final untraceable blow. This is elite-level social warfare.
It really is. So Dayu, still glowing because her rival got insulted, decides to join in. She asks Bao Chai what opera she saw, getting ready to have a laugh with Bao Yu.
A terrible idea.
A terrible idea. Bao Chai has already won the open fight, so now she pivots. She says she saw Li Kui curse Song Jiang and afterward apologize, which, sounds pretty harmless.
But Bao Yu, being the scholar, he can't help himself. He has to correct her.
He has to. He says, that play is called Asking Forgiveness with a Rod on One's Back, or Fujing Kingzu.
And that's the trap.
That's the trap. That's the moment of maximum strategic impact. Bao Chai just feigns ignorance perfectly. She smiles and says, Fujing Kingzu, you who are learning know this, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, let's break this down. Why is that one line so crippling?
Because Fujing Kingzu literally means carrying a rod and asking for punishment. It refers to a very specific, very public, very humiliating ritual of shaming, where you beg for forgiveness by submitting to physical discipline.
So by pretending not to know the formal title.
She makes sure that only 2 people in the room understand the real connection, Bao Yu and Dayu. They are hyper-aware of their own recent, tearful, dramatic reconciliation where he was essentially begging for forgiveness.
Oh my God, she's weaponizing their private moment. She's linked their secret reconciliation to a public humiliation ceremony. It's a completely untraceable damage. To everyone else, they're just talking about her opera.
But the targets know. They know they've been profoundly and publicly shamed. And the sources confirm it. Because they both still had that sickness in their hearts from their fight, their faces immediately blush deep red. They realize their private pain has been exposed and used against them.
It's social warfare by footnote. And the damage is so fast and so intense, the whole atmosphere in the room just changes.
Fengji feels it. She probably doesn't get the illusion, but she senses the tension and tries to cover it up. She asks loudly, "Who is eating ginger in this hot weather?"
Trying to diffuse the hot or sharp feeling in the room.
Exactly, but it's too late. Bao Yu is totally mortified. He's just been completely disgraced by her cool, analytical attack, and Bao Chai, seeing she's won, just stops talking.
Dayu tries to get one last jab in, whispering to Bao Yu, "You finally met someone sharper than me." But he's done. He's so dispirited and shamed by the accuracy of Bao Chai's attack that he has no energy left, not even for Dayu. He just leaves, totally defeated.
And our protagonist, Bao Yu, he's just wandering. It's the peak of summer, Shengshu Zishi, where the heat is just oppressive. Everyone's lethargic. Rizhang Shenhuan. The whole compound is silent. Yake Wen.
And you'd think, on a day that quiet, nothing would happen. A bit of, privileged boredom. Bao Yu, just by walking through the house, sets off 3 intense and really damaging emotional crises, one after the other.
It's a spectacular piece of writing. I mean, it condenses all the novel's big themes: young love, the brutal social hierarchy, the consequences of just being careless with your privilege, all into one chapter. So what starts as just idle wandering, it turns into this triple cascade of tragedy.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start where the drama first ignites. In Madame Wang's quarters with her maid, Jinswan, this first one is fast, it's public, and it's absolutely devastating.
So Bao Yu slips into his mother's room. Madame Wang is asleep on a cool couch, the liang to just trying to escape the heat. And beside her is Jinswan. Her job is to be watching, maybe massaging her leg, but she's half asleep herself. The text says she's Mishisian Luan Wang, just kind of drowsing. And Bao Yu, who is always looking for some kind of connection or maybe just some fun, decides to play a little game. He sneaks up and gently takes the pendant, the zuizi, right from her ear to wake her up. It's a very intimate little provocation. He teases her. And the detail here is so important because it goes beyond just playing around. Bao Yu takes out this fragrant pill, a Shangzhe Run Jindan, from his pocket and puts it in her mouth. She's barely even awake. She just holds it there, Qianlei. It's a gift, a sign of affection, but it's also a huge transgression. And then he says the thing that brings it all crashing down.
Right. He says he'll ask Madame Wang for her so they can be together tomorrow. Now, for you listening, this might not sound so sinister. I mean, Bao Yu is naive. He might just want to elevate her status. But in the world of the Jia family, this is a direct challenge to the entire social order.
And Jinswan knows it, even half asleep. Her response is so subtle, but so heavy. She doesn't say yes, she doesn't say no. She gives him this proverb: a gold hairpin dropped in a well, if it's yours, it's yours. She's basically saying, look, if it's fated, it'll happen, but don't force it. She even tries to redirect him, suggesting he go visit someone else.
And just like that, the bubble pops. Madame Wang wakes up instantly. Or maybe she was never asleep. She flips over, Fan Shen Qi Lai, and without a second's hesitation, she just smacks Jinswan right across the face. Izhaogan Shang Ju Bazi. A hard slap.
The violence is shocking, but what she says, that's what's so telling. She calls her a slutty little whore, a Xiaozu Xiaochong Fu for corrupting her son. And Bao Yu, he sees the ruin he's caused, and he runs. He's gone.
He gets out of the room, but the devastation he caused, it just stays there. But why? Why is Madame Wang, who the book says is usually broad-minded, kind, and benevolent, so incredibly vicious here?
Because Bao Yu's little flirtation, no matter how innocent he thought it was, it represented the one unforgivable sin: social contamination. Madame Wang says this specific act is what she hates most in her life: the Ping Zheng Zuanzi. It's a threat to her son's purity, to her management, to the entire household's moral structure.
So Jinswan, after 10 years of loyal service, is ruined in an instant. She's on her knees, begging, saying that being banished means losing all her face. She asks, and this is just the heart of it, how can I ever face anyone again?
That line, 我还见人不见人, it captures everything about how fragile her life is. 10 years of work gone in 10 seconds. Madame Wang is absolutely ruthless. She calls for the maid's mother to take her away. And this is the first crisis Bao Yu causes. A life completely destroyed by his boredom. And the price is paid entirely by the powerless woman.
So after starting this public fire, Bao Yu is just overwhelmed with guilt and shame and awkwardness. He has to go somewhere. He flees to the Grandview Garden, the Guanyuan.
Exactly. And the whole atmosphere changes. We go from that stifling room to this quiet, almost unsettling natural space. We're under these dense trees, and the only sound is the hum of cicadas. Man or a chun sheng. It's a heavy kind of quiet, not a peaceful one.
And in that silence, he hears it, the sound of crying. A gengi jishen coming from under a rose trellis.
He finds a girl there, and at first, his mind, which is always so full of poetry, it just defaults to what he knows. He sees her scratching the ground and thinks, oh, here we go, another foolish girl trying to be like Lin Dayu burying flowers. He dismisses it as a cheap imitation, Dongxi copying Shishi.
But then he stops himself. He realizes he doesn't know her, that she's one of the new opera girls, and he remembers that his own rash words have caused enough trouble for one day. This is Bao Yu maybe, just maybe, starting to learn, or at least starting to fear the consequences.
What he sees when he really looks is fascinating. He notices she has this delicate look, very much like Lin Dayu Jitai, but she's not digging. She's drawing characters in the dirt with a hairpin. He looks closer, counts the strokes, 18 of them, and he realizes she's drawing the character for Rose, Chang, over and over.
Thousands of times. The source says, Wali Yuji Konji King. I mean, that one single character repeated like that.
Yeah.
It's a kind of ritual. An obsession.
Yeah.
Why is that so much more powerful than just, crying her eyes out?
Because this is pain turned inward. Jin Zhuan's suffering was external, a slap, a public shaming. Lingguan's pain is private, it's symbolic. She's not looking for attention. She's performing this ritual of agony. The book says she must have some great unspoken sorrow, a dashin shi. Drawing that character thousands of times, she's completely consumed by it. Probably a forbidden love, something she can't even speak about.
And she's so lost in it, she's completely oblivious to the world, which means she's oblivious to Bao Yu watching her.
Completely. And then the outside world finally intrudes. A sudden storm breaks out. A Zuyu, Bao Yu, trying to be the hero, rushes forward to warn her to get out of the rain.
And this is where we get that great little ironic moment. She's startled, but with the rain and the dim light, she mistakes the beautiful, elegant Bao Yu for common maid, a Yatu. She thanks him and then asks if he has shelter.
And her question is what snaps Bao Yu out of his poetic trance? He realizes that, oh right, he's also standing in a downpour and is now soaked and freezing. Henshen Bing Liang. So he runs back toward his own courtyard, but he's still thinking about that opera girl, still worried.
So Bao Yu leaves this quiet, obsessive tragedy behind him and runs headlong into the third crisis of the day. He's wet, he's cold, he feels guilty, and now he's just full of this misplaced rage. He gets back to his own place, the Happy Red Court, the Yihong Yuan, and the silence of the garden has been replaced by complete chaos.
This transition is so important because it's what sets up the explosion. It's the day before the Dragon Boat Festival, and some of the opera girls are stuck inside his courtyard because of the rain. The maids have blocked the drain to make a little pond, and they're all inside laughing and playing with ducks. They're totally absorbed.
So Bao Yu comes running up, he's furious, he's banging on the door, Padamen Shanxiang. But they can't hear him over all the noise. They figure he wouldn't be back in a storm like this. Finally, Shirin, his most trusted maid, hears him and rushes to open the door.
And she opens it and sees Bao Yu looking, as the text says, like a drenched chicken Lin Dayu Dajiban. She's kind of laughing, trying to apologize for the delay. But Bao Yu, he's just blind with rage. It's the anxiety from Jin Zhuan, the worry from Lingguan, all of it boiling over. He assumes it was one of the junior maids, the Liu Dongji men, messing with him.
And then comes a mistake. The awful mistake. Full of rage, he just lifts his foot and kicks her, a hard, brutal kick right in the ribs. Tizai Lei Shang. She cries out, "Ayo!"
And he realizes what he's done instantly. He's hurt his closest confidante.
Shirin.
But her loyalty is it's almost a form of self-destruction. She immediately covers for him. Despite the pain, the humiliation of being hit in front of everyone, she insists he didn't hit her. She says she was the one fooling around Tao Qi and that she hurt herself.
It's the absolute cost of that hierarchy, isn't it? She would rather take the blame for being assaulted than let her master feel guilty or, God forbid, face any consequences.
And the suffering that follows is completely silent. She's in pain all evening. She can barely eat. And later, when she's bathing, we see the real damage. A massive bruise the size of a bowl, a Kinglu Wanda Ikwai, on her ribs. But she chooses to hide it. She refuses to make a scene.
But the body can't lie. The crisis comes to a head that night. Bao Yu is restless. He can tell she's not well. He hears her groan in her sleep, that same ayo of pain. He gets up, lights a lamp to check on her.
And as he gets near the bed, she has this violent coughing fit. twice, and when Baoyu looks at the floor, he sees it. A mouthful of fresh blood. Hiku Xiansui Zaidi. He's terrified. The text says his heart went cold. Shinliang Labanji. He knows his rage caused a serious internal injury.